everyone, it's Shari Carroll here for SimonsStamp.com with a technique using some Spellbinders dies to create some fabric flowers. So I have some dies here that are designed by Tammy Tudorow for Spellbinders, and they are the Pom Pom Posies, which are the Designer Series 5. They come with the pom-poms plus the leaves, so you can cut out everything all at once. When I die cut these, I did use a piece of cardstock behind and also with a shim so that it cut through the fabric really nicely. My fabric is white with a little white pattern, so we'll see how this holds up to the color that I'll be adding. I've decided to color these with abandoned coral, and I'm using the spray. And I have a small bowl here. I'll just go ahead and spray just a little bit into the bowl. I'm also working on my craft sheet just to protect my surface. So I've just squirted just a little bit. I'll be adding some water to kind of fade that out. I also want to add some water to my flower petal. So once you get that kind of watered down a little bit, go ahead and fold it up slightly and then dip it into that spray color. You can unfold it and then dip it in again a little bit and add as much color or as little color as you want. So I just want these to look a little bit faded, or you can add more color for a more concentrated look. So again, I'll go ahead and kind of crumple this up. I want irregular color in this, so I don't want it all to look the same. So you can go ahead and unfold it and see how that looks, and then crumple it up again and squeeze that a little bit. So once I have that kind of crumpled up, I'll go ahead and grab my heat gun and start drying this. And I like to use my little poke tool just to kind of hold this down a little bit, and then I can shoot this with the heat gun until it becomes dry. Once you have all your flowers done, you can go ahead and move on to your leaves. And for the leaves, I'll be using my peeled paint spray, and I have pretty concentrated color right now. I have gotten my leaves wet first. And so I'm going to go ahead with that concentrated color. You can also just kind of push it around with your fingers. You can see that pattern of that fabric coming out. And then I like to kind of crumple it up, which gives me a variegated color. And again, I'll hold that down with my poke tool and then go ahead and heat that with the heat gun until it's dry. At this point, I have all my flowers and my leaves colored, and I'm going to leave these white flowers white. I do have a little bit of stain on my fingers. It's okay if I transfer it on. But these are going to sit behind those coral colored flowers. So I just want to crumple those up and let those sit and dry. I want to add a little bit of dimension to these flowers, and so I'm using some single strand thread. And I want to kind of do a little fold. So I'm going to pinch it in the center. Kind of has a natural fold from where I crumpled it. Pinching it in the center, then I want to pinch it again and kind of fold that over. And I only need to add just a little stitch to hold this in place. If you need to, you could use a heat gun or also some fabric glue if you don't feel like sewing. But I'm just doing this just to hold it in place so that when I go to glue it on my card, it has a slight amount of dimension. And without clipping my thread tail, I'm going to go ahead and attach that back white piece, and then I can go ahead and crumple that up and add some more creases just by using the thread. Again, you could use glue or hot glue if you wanted to for this process, and just put those two flowers together so that they are about the same size. I have my flowers sewn together. I haven't put the leaves together, but I want to start creating my background. So I have the Spellbinders cheesecloth stamp here. It's a nice cling stamp. I'm using the peeled paint ink, and I'm just going to kind of swipe this on a little bit. This cheesecloth stamp is also designed by Tammy Tudorow. It's really gorgeous. So if you can see, I just kind of added a little bit of my ink there. I'm going to go ahead and spritz this with water to give me a little bit of a watercolor effect. And before I stamp my paper, once I've added my water, I'm going to run my finger around and kind of soften any of those hard edges. I don't want to have it look like the ink pad. So once I'm happy with moving that around a little bit, I have a piece of the Tim Holtz Distress watercolor paper, and I am using the smooth side. So I'll go ahead and just lay this right under the stamp once I've determined which side I'm going to put it on. And I'll just go ahead and press that down right under the stamp. Just run my finger on the back, making sure that I hit all those areas. Then I can lift this up and I have my design. I can let this dry as it is, or I can go ahead and blot up some of the areas with a paper towel. So as you start to blot, you don't want to blot the entire thing. You kind of want to let those inks dry into the paper at different stages, then you'll have a really nice tone-on-tone background. If you want, you still have ink on your stamp, so you can go back and add some more color. I'm just placing my cardstock right onto the stamp and just tapping it down with my other finger just to get small areas of more added color. So once I'm happy with that, I can either heat this with my heat gun or let it air dry. To attach my flowers down, I'm using the felt glue, and you can get this in the Simon Says Stamp store. And I've also cut up my leaves here just slightly and kind of puckered those up as well. And I'm just gluing my flower right to the leaves, and then I can determine where I want to put these onto my card. I have also trimmed down my background panel so that it'll sit onto a nice top folding card with even borders around. So once you've determined your placement, go ahead and add a little bit more glue. I do like this glue because it has a lot less water in it, so it doesn't warp my cardstock when I'm working with it. So once I've determined where I want to add everything, I'll just go ahead and put some glue on and put it right onto that panel. To finish this card off, I've mounted that panel onto some fun foam and put it onto my card, and then also added a greeting that I have also popped up with some foam dots. The dimension of the flowers is just really fantastic. The color turned out beautiful on both the flowers and leaves and also on the background. And as a finishing touch, I've added some enamel dots in the flower centers. So I hope I've given you some inspiration on using your dies with fabric and stains to create some really unique flowers. I've added the supply list to the description area below and also linked to our blog post that has still shots of this card. Be sure to check us out on the social media outlets such as Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Periscope, Snapchat, and also here on YouTube. And as always, thanks for watching.